Well, ladies and gentlemen, now after the Supreme Court dropped the final knockout blow on Democrats in the Virginia redistricting battle and rejected the emergency appeal that would have overturned the state Supreme Court regarding the redistricting referendum, now, ladies and gentlemen, outraged Democrats have gone into a full-blown racial propaganda meltdown, complete with all the fake protesters and manufactured outrage. And so, as always, if you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way you can let me know. Stay locked in with all the future content. Subscribe to the channel. And so, let's start right here.
New tonight, the Supreme Court has rejected a bid to restore the congressional map voters recently approved in Virginia favoring Democrats. Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm Julie Bragg. Attorney General Jay Jones filed the bid after the Supreme Court of Virginia blocked the redistricting plan in a 4-3 decision last month. The Virginia justices believe state lawmakers failed to follow the proper process before presenting the proposal to voters. The state court deemed the referendum was in violation of the Virginia Constitution. The congressional map that would have given Democrats a chance to pick up 4 seats in the closely divided House of Representatives. In response to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision tonight, leaders on both sides have shared statements. Governor Abigail Spanberger took to X saying, quote, "These Virginians made their voices heard, casting their ballots in good faith to push back against a president who said he's entitled to more seats in Congress before voters go to the polls." Meanwhile, Republican State Senator Ryan McDougal, one of the plaintiffs of the original lawsuit, said, quote, "The Supreme Court of the United States has affirmed what we always knew. You cannot violate the Constitution to change the Constitution." The Supreme Court typically does not intervene in state court proceedings unless they present an issue of federal law. Yesterday, Governor Spanberger already confirmed that the state will hold this year's elections under the current districts established back in 2021.
This was one last desperate attempt that the left really never had a chance of getting overturned, ladies and gentlemen. And now what we'll see get cranked up even more from the left, and we'll get into in this video, is the racial component of it all. Because, well, that's all they have. All they have is to connect this entire thing to race, because that's all they can argue. They can't argue the facts, the law, but what they can argue is emotions. And that's exactly what Democrats took to Alabama to do. Take a listen.
Outraged Democrats, they're in a full-on meltdown, joining thousands marching in Alabama after the push to redraw voting maps just didn't go their way.
We are here because a white supremacist dictator known as President Donald Trump thought he could silence us. They thought they could stop a movement. You can rig a map, but you can't rig a movement.
They're afraid of us coming together. They're afraid of us protecting one another.
We have seen this before, where some people in black robes try to deny or take away our rights.
Yeah, about that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we know these manufactured protests are a direct reaction to what has been going on with the redistricting battle that Democrats have been getting destroyed in. And that's putting it nicely. They've been taking massive L after massive L after massive L. And so the left is highly upset. And so we know what comes next. And that's all the racial talking points turned up even higher. The president's are racist. Black voters are losing their rights. Jim Crow 2.0. Don't forget Republicans are racist too, and democracy's under attack. That's the playbook. We know it by now. It's a pretty easy script to follow. And so Democrats are operating under the thought that if they repeat it enough times, enough people will think it's true. And so that's why they have people like AOC in Alabama for whatever reason. And she went viral for her comments. Take a listen to this.
It is time for the North to pull up to the South. It is time for New York to pull up to Alabama. It is time for all of us to come to Georgia, to Louisiana, to Tennessee, to Mississippi, and let them know exactly what they have uncorked with this injustice. They think they can draw us out of power. They do not know the sleeping giant that they just awakened. Because it is not a coincidence, and our whole country must understand that it was not until voting rights were ratified in this country that we got the Great Society. Because Because when black Americans have the right to vote and that vote is protected, our schools get funded. When voting rights are protected, health care gets expanded. When voting rights are protected, our country moves forward. In Montgomery, that's what they're actually afraid of.
The idea that AOC thinks the majority of people in the South want New Yorkers to pull up into their state, like in Alabama, is laughable. To say the least, is laughable. Just because the left can bust in protesters and supporters to manufacture fake outrage does not make it real in places that are overly conservative states. Democrats think they're going to go into these places and actually tell those people what to do. And the reason why I say fake protesters, ladies and gentlemen, that were bust in is because, well, that's what AOC pretty much said. Take a listen.
What I've been telling everybody is when the flare goes up, we pull up.
Hello.
And that's what our assignment is for the next day, week, month, year. We just have to show up.
I'm here in Montgomery, Alabama with members of Congress and with busloads of Americans who are here to fight for fair representation. And one of them is none other than
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez,
the original AOC. So why was it important for you to be here in Montgomery?
Well, I think one of the reasons why it's important for me to be here is because it's important for every American to be here.
Yeah.
In this moment, we have to stand with one another. We are not divided by state. We're not divided by where we're from, but we're united by our citizenship. And we cannot allow the rights of people here in Alabama and across the country to go eviscerated by the Voting Rights Act. And we can't take it sitting down, and we can't look the other way. And when the call goes out, we pull up, and we're here to support the leaders on the ground, and a way will be made out of no way.
Because we're not going back.
We're not going back.
All right, so AOC wasn't the only one out there. You had Rep. Ayanna Presley was also there. And so take a listen to what she says on MS Now, ladies and gentlemen, about the current administration. According to her, these are her words, they would rather black Americans pick cotton than pick the president. Take a listen.
There are people in this hostile anti-black administration that would rather black Americans pick cotton than pick the president, than pick their congressperson, than pick a senator. They want the representatives to decide who their voters are instead of the voters determining who their representatives are.
This is the level of propaganda they will use, ladies and gentlemen. And oh, please believe it will get more outrageous with what they'll say. But if you pay close enough attention, you notice it always revolves, specifically when they're talking about black people, about making sure they remember they are the victims. They will continue to be the victims, and the only glimmer of hope they could have, is if they believe in Democrats. Funny how that works, right? The one thing all of this is showing us, if you ask me personally, is that this is the perception that the left has when it comes to the black community. It's abysmal. It's terrible. They do not think black people are capable of anything unless Democrats do it for them. Hold their hand along the way, pretty much. And it's really just sad because I know there are a lot of people who unfortunately eat this kind of stuff up. It pulls at their emotions and they refuse to use the logic, which is exactly what Democrats are counting on. Take a listen.
Our voting rights on the line. We can't let them roll history back on us. We have to show them that our voices are going to be heard. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of hope. And our people have strong resolve. After 400 years of slavery, they still said, you know what, guys, we'll be getting out of this. So in the same vein, we'll be getting out of this. This is not the way things are not the way they will always be.
You all traveled a long way to be here really quickly. Why was it important for you to be here right now?
We understand the moment, and we know that Southern black voters and their votes are under attack. In Virginia, our vote was just told that it was null and void, and so we have to stand up and make a change in this moment.
So you're from Virginia. Where are you from?
Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm with Ayanna. We're here to support.
How do you feel when you think of 1965 and what went on in Alabama to now? How does it make you feel?
Not too good, but things will get better, I hope.
And that's a lot of the joy we're seeing today, despite what's going on and the frustration. A lot of joy. Why is that?
Yes, we're here today because we're letting them know we're not going back by any means necessary. Yeah. And we're here today to speak truth to power. We stand in solidarity with all the citizens of Alabama.
I mean, we're American citizens, been here 400-500 years, and we're still having to fight the same battles.
We can't allow that to happen again. We can't allow our voices to disappear. We can't allow our voices to be silent. We have to stand up, and that's why I am in love that we're seeing these people come out here to stand up for the exact same thing that people died for. They literally died inside G65. So now, today, I don't expect to die. I expect for us to rise and for us to stand up for what's right.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is why the left always uses black people as political pawns, because it is quite literally the easiest thing to do to create drama. All you have to do is say slavery, and you get these people who, let's be honest, they really don't know what's going on. And I don't say that just to say it. That's why you have the reporter asking them, as you heard her say, how do you feel about this situation? She's asking them about their feeling, not about actual facts when it comes to the law, the Constitution, racially drawn maps, and the reality that they're not actually really losing any of their rights. They still have the same rights they've always had. Matter of fact, if applied correctly, they actually have more leverage, because now Democrats can't just take their vote for granted in these districts. But let me share this other perspective from a Chicago woman who feels differently than those protesters. Take a listen to what she had to say.
Jessica, please begin.
The reality is this. Black people's voting is not in danger, and you know it's not. And you know it's not. I'm 63 years old. I've been voting since I was 18. I have never had a problem voting. Now, that may apply to my mother and father. It applies to my grandparents. Surely it does. And in fact, because it does, every single person in this room, including that Jewish lady that just got up and talked, need to really be thanking us. Really need to be thanking us for giving y'all the right to vote, for giving y'all the right to be here, instead of sitting up here manipulating the Voting Rights Act like something's getting ready to happen to our right to vote, when you know that's not true. So now you all gonna drag black people in here, definitely some senior citizens, and gonna have them come up here and talk about how they scared to vote, how this messed up the right to vote, women need to vote, all that junk, when you know it's not true. Just like you sit up here and make like black people can't get IDs. Us requiring IDs to vote, it's gonna stop black people from voting. Why black people ain't got IDs? See, you all get more and more ridiculous. But you can't, in this room full of these black people, talk about that federal case that just got filed Monday that's talking about how you all are stealing property at Cook County sales. Where the black people in here? Raise your hand that if they told you to come in here to talk about how your property got stolen. Where you at? Huh? Because we got commissioners in here that know for a fact it's happening. Catskill, you know it's happening. Lori, you know it's happening. Michael Scott, you know it's happening. Lamont Williams, come on, you give up cases for the county. You know it's happening. Donna Miller, you know what's happening. Well, come on, y'all black people that they done sent here with these 501c3s, that they got y'all in here talking for them. Why y'all ain't in here talking about how they stealing our property?
1 minute.
Where y'all at? Come on, because y'all getting ready to come up here to this mic and lie for the cameras to say that black people's voting is done by this Louisiana thing and Donald Trump and the Trump administration, when Donald Trump is in front of the Supreme Court right now fighting for the 14th Amendment, saying that black people, that amendment was for black people.
30 seconds.
Not for birthrights, not for people to anchor themselves over here illegally. And they got y'all black people in here getting ready to talk against him. I mean, y'all real sick up in the head. You sick in the head and more sicker in your spirit.
Sick in the head might be the only way to explain this, because when you literally have Democrats like Kamala Harris admitting they will stomp over the Constitution, get rid of the Electoral College, expand the Supreme Court so they can pack it with radical leftist judges. Oh, and make Washington, D.C. a state, which might be the worst idea she had in her no bad idea brainstorm session for Democrats. None of that matters to Democrats, ladies and gentlemen, if it means they can gain power from it.
More power. Yeah, there's been sort of two Democratic responses. The first is hers. And after years of hearing Donald Trump is going to destroy the Constitution and undermine the very fabric of our society. Now, in order to protect the Constitution, we need to expand the court, undermine the judiciary, eliminate the Electoral College, which is how we've always elected the president, and then add D.C. and Puerto Rico as states. I mean, the irony is just beyond that she wants to save democracy by undermining the Constitution. So that's the one reaction that we've seen. And then the other reaction is the reaction from the far left, like Hassan Piker, who literally has said, you know, this is going to lead to more political violence, which is kind of an endorsement of that, suggesting that that's what's going to happen. So I found it alarming to see that Democrats basically either want to undermine our Constitution in order to save democracy or are essentially calling for violence.
I don't know. I mean, I think you can let Hassan Piker speak for himself.
Abby Phillips is so fake. Democrats are literally bringing Hassan Piker out on the campaign trail. And they are doing that because this is about power and their willingness to do whatever it takes, including all the bad ideas from Kamala Harris, who had the bright idea of making Washington, D.C. a state, which is literally one of the worst ideas you could come up with. And so I'll leave it here. It doesn't matter to the left as long as the result is power. So Democrats will stand next to a Hassan Piker in their campaigns. They will manufacture protests to create fake drama and outrage. They will openly admit to destroying the very democracy they always claim they are defending and use the excuse that they have to do it. They have to, of course, because it's all about, stopping the president. And the only way they can do that is by gaining absolute power. And along the way, if they keep pushing the same used up messaging they are always using, where they want to make, black people the victim, then, so be it. But those are my thoughts in the update. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, smash that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more. And as always, until next time.